Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Welcome back to another true crime story. Happy Friday, you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest right now. I almost skipped this Friday's upload because I have just had a busy week. Okay, I do have a full-time job, and on top of that, my husband is leaving to Japan for like a week and a half and a couple days here. I was wanting to be really present and take care of all my other stuff that I have going on in my life, and I was kind of putting my channel on the back burner, and I almost did not film a video for this Friday, but I was like, no, let me not start off on a bad streak, because I barely started doing my true crime videos again a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I just started, I can't already start skipping uploads. So here I am, you guys. I'm doing this for you. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday so far. I hope you've had a great week, and I hope you have some fun plans for the weekend. I definitely do. If you are new here, hello, my name is Jessica. I upload true crime stories every single Friday, sometimes a Tuesday, Monday, something like that. Okay, you guys, enough rambling, enough about me. Let's go ahead and get right on into the case. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Everything we say in this video is 100% alleged. We mean no disrespect to anybody involved in today's case. So today's case is going to be a very shocking and disturbing one. To be honest, this case is only going to leave you with more questions than answers. It's still an ongoing case, so we don't really have all of the details at this moment. So let's just go through what we do know. Our story begins with this beautiful family of three, soon to be four, consisting of Derek Rosa, his mother Irina, and his stepfather Frank. In 2023, Derek Rosa was living in Florida with his mom Irina, his stepfather Frank, and his 2-week-old baby sister. He was in 8th grade attending a charter school, and from what I read, he was an honor roll student, kept straight A's, and was known to be just an overall great student to have in class. His family and neighbors would describe him to be really shy, but even though he was shy, he was a very polite and friendly young man who never gave his parents any hard times or any troubles, and it was said that he was always seen helping his mom in any way that he could and supporting her, being there for her. His mother was Irina Garcia. She was 39 years old at the time, and she had just had her second child, who at this time we know was only 2 weeks old, you guys. So as you can imagine, this was a very exciting time in pretty much all of their lives, especially for Irina. Like, can you just imagine having your very first daughter 2 weeks ago at that? You're bringing her home. You're having an incredible life, going through the newborn stage again. You're enjoying all of the newborn snuggles and cuddles, and you are just so excited to bring in a new life onto this earth. The father of the newborn baby was Irina's new husband. His name was Frank. Frank and Derek got along pretty well. They weren't really known to have any issues between them. However, Frank wasn't really around that often because, you see, he was a truck driver. As we know, truck driving is a pretty long and extensive type of job to have, and it requires you to be on the road a lot and away from your family for the majority of the time. So from the outside looking in, it appeared that they were just one big happy family. They weren't known to have any issues or any type of tension or problems, really. So on October 12th of 2023, just before midnight, 911 operators would end up receiving a very horrific call. This call was made by 13-year-old Derek, and he was calling to report that his mother had been brutally stabbed to death. Now, what makes this even crazier is he was the one responsible. So it's October 12th of 2023, as we know. It seemed like a normal Thursday night, as all the other nights had been. There was really nothing about this day that set it apart from any of the other days. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and in fact, we can see on the home's doorbell camera moments before the murder that everything appeared to be normal.
13-year-old Derek Rosa on doorbell camera. His mother holding her newborn baby, cautioning her teen son not to run. He asks her in Spanish why she always tells him not to run. Seconds later, he re-enters the apartment. Irina Garcia still in the same chair with her baby.
However, everything would change this night when Derek made that horrific 911 call.
You call her neck? Okay. Where else did you stab her other than cutting her neck? Where is your sister?
She's in her crib sleeping. I did not kill her.
How old is your sister?
She's only like a week old.
Okay, and you did not touch her, correct?
No, I did not touch her. I didn't want to touch my sister.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She said, Miss, I have the gun with me. I was going to shoot myself, but I didn't want to.
I need to know, do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead.
Now, I don't know about you, but this 911 call from Derek definitely showed how young he was, because he didn't sound like an adult or even a teenager at that. To me, it sounded like he was a scared and worried little boy. You can hear it in his voice. It sounded like just this scared little boy who didn't know what to do and was seeking the help and guidance of the 911 operator. It makes you wonder what could possibly have driven a 13-year-old boy to commit such a horrible crime. Officers would finally arrive and make their way to the upstairs apartment and started pounding on the door, demanding Derek to open the door. However, he doesn't open the door right away, as he is fearful that cops are going to hurt him or possibly kill him. So instead, he stays on the phone with the 911 operator, who is giving him direction of how to safely approach the officers. And finally, once he opens the door, police immediately take him down and arrest him. So police make their way into the home, and this is when they found 39-year-old Irina Garcia covered in blood and stab wounds while she was laying in her bed. As soon as paramedics arrived, they knew right away that there was no saving Irina. She had already been deceased at this point, as her injuries were so severe. They then find her 2-week-old baby sleeping in the crib next to Irina's bed, just as Irina had left her. Luckily, you guys, the baby did not show any signs of being injured whatsoever, so it appeared that Derek had actually spared her life, and thank goodness. They also found the kitchen knife that was used to kill Irina. It was sitting on Irina's bedside table next to her bed, and you guys, it was covered in blood. Detectives also found that the baby monitor in Irina's room was recording the whole entire time. The baby monitor camera had captured the moments prior to the murder, as well as the murder itself. The footage has obviously not been released to the public, and I don't think any of us want to see that anyway. But screenshots of the footage have been released, and they are disturbing. In the photos, we can see Derek standing over his mother as she is sleeping in her bed, and what we can assume by what we already know is that this is when the murder took place. Derek was then sent off to the police station for further questioning. And this is when he made a full confession to detectives, explaining every horrible detail of his crime. However, what's really interesting was that although Derek was pretty much spilling his guts to detectives about what he had just done, the one thing he was not willing to share was why. This really struck me as odd, because it's not like his motive for the crime could be any more horrific than what he did. And he pretty much laid everything out on the table for them, so it's like, why stop now? So at this point, it had already been the third attempt to try and get Derek's motive out of him, and so this is when he requested to have a lawyer.
So you were about to tell me the why. Why did you kill your mother? Do you know?
If I have to say it now,
Yeah, get it off your chest. Absolutely.
I can wait for a lawyer.
Okay, at this point, you want a lawyer?
Maybe not.
We can't. No, listen. Just so you understand, okay? You have mentioned or asked us, should you wait for a lawyer? We're not here to advise you on whether to talk to a lawyer or not. That decision is yours, okay? But if you are requesting a lawyer at this point, we can't interview you any further. You understand? We have to stop the interview.
Okay.
Do you want us to stop the interview?
Yes.
Okay. Then this interview will end right now.
Derek was arrested and taken to the juvenile detention center. However, there was a huge debate about whether or not he should be kept in juvenile detention or sent to adult prison. A lot of people believed that because he was 18, he was still a child, which technically he was. So a lot of people definitely believed that he did not belong in adult prison, especially because he was so young. He might have been a target for some of the adult inmates, and so it was more of like a safety concern. However, on the other hand, a lot of people did believe that if he was a big enough boy to commit this crime, he needed to be a big enough boy to answer for them. I honestly don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I feel like 13 is still very young, and it definitely is, right? So I don't really know how I feel about it. I do understand that his crime was to that extent. I do believe that he committed the most horrible act of betrayal, and he definitely needs to be held accountable. But I don't know. I agree with people that it could be a safety concern. So during his time being in the juvenile detention center, he started to threaten to take his own life. However, his experience in the center kind of depends on who you ask. Attorneys would say that he was really having a hard time with this, and so much so that he was threatening to take his life. However, some of the people that actually worked at the detention center would go on to say that he was actually thriving. So we're not really sure. Was he thriving? Was he depressed? We're getting conflicting reports here. So who knows what the truth is? I can imagine that he was not thriving. He probably was not having a good time. I mean, it's a juvenile detention center. You're definitely not going to be thriving in an environment like that. So I don't know, that's just my opinion. Nonetheless, Derek was being charged with first-degree murder as an adult and was actually sent off to Metro West Detention Center, which is basically an adult center, you guys. So he ended up getting sent to an adult center. In a court hearing on October 24th, Derek's father, grandmother, and other members of his family pleaded with the judge to send Derek back to the juvenile center because they really feared for his safety in the adult center. A second hearing took place on November 28th, and Derek's attorney, Jose Baez, which if that name sounds familiar, you guys, it's because it is. Jose Baez is infamously known to have represented Casey Anthony. A lot of people have their opinions about Jose Baez. I don't really know that much about the guy. I don't really know much about the cases that he's covered. I know, shockingly enough, right? Because I'm such a true crime junkie, you would think I would know. But there are still some cases that I really have not dived that deep into. Anyway, so I don't really have an opinion either way on Jose Baez, so I don't feel like I'm in a position to give any type of opinion either way. So anyway, moving forward. So his attorney, Jose Baez, asked the judge again if Derek could be sent to the juvenile center instead of remaining in the adult center that he was currently in. However, after 6 weeks of the judge hearing numerous individuals come forward and plead with him to keep Derek in the juvenile center, the judge decided that he will in fact be keeping Derek at the adult facility. But you guys, what's even crazier is that during the first couple of hearings, Derek's family actually requested that he be released and given a second chance at life and just be let go and to kind of just put this all behind him, which is so crazy to me, you guys, because how the hell are we just going to release this kid? What is that going to teach him? It's basically going to teach him that in life, he can do the most horrific things and possibly get away from them for whatever reason. More often than not, probably because of his age. I understand that they see him as this good boy and they love him, and I get it, and he's really young. I totally get it, but he committed the ultimate act of betrayal in the most horrific way to his own mother, the woman who has given him everything he's ever had in his life, the woman who gave him his life. And he needs to answer for this. So something to note is during the hearings with Derek, there were a few moments where he seemed to be totally disconnected from what was happening and seemed to have sort of like a blank stare on his face. There were other moments where he appeared to be disoriented and confused, but then also appeared to be smiling when talking to his attorneys and seemed to be in good spirits. So to me, this sort of begs the question of, is there something going on deeper within Derek, such as a possible mental health issue? However, when looking into his life and his past, detectives didn't find any records or any history of him ever having any mental health issues, or really any issues in his life at all. By all accounts, he seemed like a pretty normal kid who lived a pretty normal life. Derek's trial was scheduled for February of 2024. The date came and quickly went as his attorneys said they were not ready to head to trial. They claimed that they still needed evidence from the state attorney's office. Now, let's go over a few of the details of this case that I found to be very strange, but also really interesting. So when detectives were interviewing Derek and trying to get the motive out of him, of course we know that he was not willing to give it up, right? We know that for whatever reason, he was willing to share everything else except for why he did it. Of course, we also know that Derek ended the interrogation by asking for a lawyer. So in an effort for detectives to figure out Derek's motive for themselves, they went looking through his phone and his search history. And this is when they found some incriminating evidence. Detectives found that Derek allegedly searched for things like the carotid artery image diagram, as well as what's the best place to stab someone, and is a small knife good for killing. What this tells us is that this was not a crime of passion. So if his attorneys wanted to argue that this was a crime of passion, they wouldn't be able to because of this specific evidence. What we can assume from the searches is that Derek could have possibly been planning this and knew exactly what he was doing. Of course, from his interrogation video, we know that he did in fact know what he was doing, as he described stabbing his mom in the neck specifically because he knew that that area of the neck is where an artery was located. Now, another disturbing piece of evidence found on Derek's phone was a photo of himself posing with his tongue sticking out, and you can actually see blood on his hands, and it's just really disturbing. Detectives also found photos of his mother's deceased body. But not only did they find these photos, but they found that he actually sent them to an online friend of his who he had never met in person. It appears that the two only knew each other online. So he sent these photos to that online friend and said sorry and goodbye. So many questions surrounding all of that. My main question is, what was the reason for sending these pictures to the friend, and why take the pictures in the first place? Like, it's already bad enough that you went and killed your mom, but you had to take that extra step to take pictures and then send it to a friend? Derek has pleaded not guilty and is being held without bond as he awaits his trial. Like I said, you guys, this case is still ongoing. I don't know how the rest of this case is going to play out, you guys. We're just going to have to wait and see. I will definitely make an updated video, but until then, we're just kind of all waiting to see what's going to happen. That is it for me today, you guys. Let me know what you thought about today's case. Have you heard about this case? Thank you so much for tuning in on another true crime story. I will see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!